the Burkina Faso government abolished all education fees. It is now free to go to nursery, primary, secondary, and university.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Ibrahim Traoré's era. Today we tell you a story that goes far beyond policy, politics, or promises. Today we bring you a moment that is echoing across the heart of Africa. A moment so bold, so pure, and so full of hope that it feels like a dream. But this is no dream. This is real. This is the story of a leader who stood up and said, "As long as I am alive, not a single child in Burkina Faso will be locked out of school because they are poor." Yes, you heard that right. Burkina Faso, a nation that for decades struggled to provide the most basic services, has now made a revolutionary move. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, education is now completely free for every citizen, from the youngest child in the village to the oldest youth in university. And it's not a campaign speech, not a press stunt. It is the law of the land, signed, approved, and already changing lives. This moment is not just about school uniforms and report cards. It's about freedom, it's about power, it's about dignity, and above all, it's about justice. Imagine a place where a girl no longer has to stay home because her parents can't afford her fees. Imagine a boy who once believed he would never leave the farm, now walking into a classroom with dreams of becoming an architect, a scientist, or a writer. That's what's happening right now in the heart of West Africa.
From this day forward, education in Burkina Faso is free from the first classroom to the last university bench. No child shall be left behind because they cannot pay. This is not a favor, this is a birthright.
And with those words, everything shifted. The silence that followed was louder than thunder. The people froze, then cried, then erupted. In rural communities where families once sold goats just to buy textbooks, there were tears. In cities where students dropped out because of unpaid tuition, there was dancing. In schools where teachers had lost hope, there were prayers of gratitude. This was not just a government decision, it was a moment of resurrection, a rebirth of possibility. One grandmother said, "Every year I had to choose which grandchild could go to school. I could never afford to send them all. The rest would stay home or go work in the fields. It broke my heart." Today, she is not alone. Across Burkina Faso, millions of families face this exact heartbreak. In a country where the average income is less than $2 a day, school fees, even small ones, can be a wall that blocks a child's future. Families had to make impossible choices. Should we eat today, or send our daughter to class? Should we pay for medicine or buy notebooks? Should we send one child to school and sacrifice the dreams of the others? These are not decisions any parent should be forced to make, but for decades, they were the reality. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not your ordinary leader. He didn't come to power with empty slogans. He came with fire in his heart and purpose in his footsteps. He looked around and saw young people brimming with talent but shackled by poverty. And he said, "Enough is enough. Our children do not need charity from the West. They need the key to their own future. And that key is knowledge." So he did what few leaders dare to do. He turned education from a privilege into a right. He didn't ask permission from former colonial masters. He didn't wait for international donors. He acted for his people. This is not just policy. It's a national healing. It's a collective rising. When a child walks into a classroom free of charge, they carry not just a book but the hopes of a nation. When a girl receives her free uniform and sits beside boys in class, equality becomes real, not just an idea. This is what transformation looks like, and Burkina Faso is leading the way. Behind every great dream there must be strength. Behind every promise there must be a plan. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré has both. The world was stunned when he announced free education for all, instantly, permanently, and fully funded. Critics around the world asked the same question: where will he get the money? They doubted, they whispered, they scoffed. But Traoré answered, not with more words but with action. Burkina Faso is not a poor country. It is a rich land, overflowing with gold, zinc, copper, manganese, and fertile soil. But for decades that wealth flowed out of the country, not to the people, not to the children, not to the schools. It flowed into the pockets of foreign corporations. It built five-star hotels in Europe. It filled the vaults of French and Canadian mining giants. And what did the Burkina Faso people receive in return? Polluted rivers, broken roads, children studying under trees. Traoré saw this injustice and made a decision that would shake global markets. He nationalized every gold mine in the country. No negotiation, no delay, no apologies. The foreign companies that once took billions in profit were sent packing. The deals signed under corrupt regimes were torn apart, and control returned to where it always belonged, the hands of the Burkina Faso. This wasn't just economic policy. This was economic independence. It was a message. We are done begging. We will build with what we have. With the mines under national control, gold revenues skyrocketed. And for the first time in history, that money stayed in the country. So what did Traoré do with it? He didn't buy palaces. He didn't send it to offshore accounts. He didn't invest in foreign luxuries. He poured it into the veins of the nation. Hospitals are being renovated. Roads are being constructed by local engineers. Farms are receiving funding. And most importantly, education is now fully financed. From preschoolers to university students. No more fees, no more barriers. But Traoré didn't stop at the gold. He asked a question no one had dared to ask before. Why do we pay millions for a single kilometer of road? And when he dug deeper, the answer was shocking. Foreign contractors, mostly French, were billing 100 times the actual cost of materials and labor. A road that should have cost $20,000. They charged $2 million. And for what? Half-finished roads, fragile bridges, delays, excuses, and lies. So Traoré acted again. He canceled their contracts. He expelled their companies. And then he bought every machine, truck, and bulldozer the country needed. He turned to his own people, to young graduates in engineering, to builders who had been unemployed for years, to local businesses desperate for a chance. And he said, "The time has come for us to build our own country." Today, roads are being paved by local teams. Bridges are being designed by Burkina Faso mines. And the savings, that money is being channeled into classrooms. Let's break down how this gold-to-classroom model works. Gold mines bring in millions monthly in national revenue. That money is directly deposited into a public investment fund. The fund pays for teachers' salaries, new school buildings, free textbooks and materials, meals for students, scholarships for university, and every franc is accounted for, with transparency reports made public. This is how you build a nation, not with charity, but with vision. Today, for the first time in Burkina Faso's history, every child has a right to dream. Not just to dream, but to act, to learn, to grow. This is what happens when a leader says, "No more exploitation, no more excuses, we rise." They tried to steal our gold, but they didn't know the true gold of Africa is its people. And now that gold is rising. Let's be honest with ourselves. A free nation isn't built in banks. It isn't built in meetings with foreign donors. It is built in classrooms. That is where a future is born. And today in Burkina Faso, a new generation is rising. They are not afraid, they are not hungry, and they are not in the dark anymore, because they now hold the one tool that no one can take from them: education. In a country where for years, over 40% of children never made it past primary school, the shift is dramatic. Before this reform, children dropped out early to work in the fields or on the streets. Teenage girls were forced into marriage to escape the burden of school costs. Many families saw school as a luxury they could never afford. But now families are sending all their children, not just the boys, not just the oldest. Now when a child gets dressed in the morning, it's not to fetch water or beg for coins, it's to go learn. This is not just about test scores. This is a complete transformation of society. In the university halls of Ouagadougou and Bobo Dioulasso, students are no longer stuck worrying about unpaid fees. They're building apps, designing agricultural drones, and launching solar-powered tech startups. One student created a mobile app to help farmers predict rainfall and crop cycles. Another team is working on a water filtration system made entirely from local materials. This is what happens when minds are free. When education is not a privilege for the few, but a right for the many. And what about the teachers? For years they were overworked, underpaid, and forgotten. But now, thanks to the education budget funded by National Gold, teachers are being paid on time, given resources, and respected as the backbone of national development. In rural areas, retired professionals are returning to volunteer. In urban centers, young graduates are applying to teach in underserved regions. Education is no longer a job, it's a calling. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. In the halls of power in Europe, in think tanks in the West, there is fear. Because if Burkina Faso succeeds, others will follow, and that means relieves Korstrin, no more foreign-controlled curriculums, no more dependency on aid, no more brain drain where African talent is exported for cheap. A free educated Africa is uncontrollable, and that terrifies those who profit from Africa's ignorance. So they call Traoré dangerous. They try to isolate him. They attack him with media lies and political pressure. But the people, they know the truth, and they are standing behind him, like a wall. We prayed for a leader like Sankara. God gave us Traoré. I sold goats to pay school fees. Now I send all 5 children with pride. This is the first time I've ever believed that my country belongs to us. These are not just quotes. They are echoes of a national awakening. To educate a child is to arm them with freedom. To open the door of a school is to close the door of a prison. To give a child a pencil is to give a nation a sword against ignorance, poverty and fear. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has not just opened doors, he's breaking walls. He is building a nation not from bricks, but from minds. Burkina Faso has chosen its future, not with violence, not with submission, but with vision. And maybe, just maybe, the rest of Africa is watching. This is Ibrahim Traoré's era. If this story moved you, share it. If you believe education is not a luxury but a human right, leave a comment below. And if you know deep in your heart that a free Africa begins with free minds, subscribe and stay with us. Until next time, walk proud, learn freely, and never kneel.